Welcome back to another wonderful week. And this week we are discussing Anahata Chakra, the center of love, love, love. So let's begin. So we have now arrived at Anahata Chakra, the center for love. Love, as well as the energies specific to this power center, in general, is the reason for love songs, a source of some of the greatest happiness, inspiration, and the motivation for many important decisions. And for many of us, the reason why we get out of bed in the morning and how we meet and greet the day. So, love and the heart center is the alpha and omega of all spiritual traditions, and it's what we are at our core. It is one of the highest frequencies and a force that nourishes and sustains all of life. Now, we came from love, we are made from love, and we go back to love. So, in the fascinating adventure of human consciousness, after being aware of life's vitality and of the instinct of survival at the level of Muladhara, and after experiencing the world as a source of pleasure and survival of the species at Swadhisthana, and after the structuring of the personality around a center that gives us the impression of our special nature, that allows us to affirm our individual will through the energies specific to Manipura chakra, Anahata now develops as the fundamental feeling of love. Because now we have so many reasons to love even more, right? Now we've got it right. We know what we want, we know where we're going, so we know we can love stuff now. So at this level, the experience of expansion of the consciousness and of merging through love with everything that exists unfolds. And here is a wonderful quote from Rumi: "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it." So the heart chakra is the center through which we love. Though it flows through, through it flows the energy of connectedness with all life. The more open this center becomes, the greater is our capacity to love an ever widening circle of life. Hence why we purify, balance, and amplify the energies of this area. So when this center is functioning, we love ourselves, our children, our mates, our pets, our families, and all fellow human beings and creatures. Through this center, we connect cords to heart centers of those with whom we have a love relationship. So these are quite actual energetic cords. Maybe you feel them, maybe you don't. Either way, they exist. So when the chakra is open, we see the uniqueness and inner beauty and the light of fellow man, as well as other undeveloped aspects. So when the chakra is closed, the person has trouble loving, as well as a few other things which we will discuss. When the energies of Anahata are awakened, however, we are able to remain being peaceful and calm in our lives and in harmony with what is around us. We are able to remain in the state, thus giving us more control over our lives and how we feel, think, and respond. The energies here cause us to feel a profound state of love. We move away from the materialism of survival, affirmation, desire, and asserting our ego. That was the case with the first three chakras. So here there's a different mood and a different consciousness. The heart is a center and a focal point in our bodies as well as in our everyday use of language. At the heart of the matter, or speaking from the heart, are ways of speaking and thinking that imply that things are central and important. When we gesture with our hands to or refer to ourselves or to express thanks, we do so by bringing our hands closer to the heart, right? Or when you signalize yourself. So not our head, not our legs, no, it's the heart, me, thank you. Much like how our cardiovascular and respiratory system, which are the organs that are linked to Anahata, brings life to and around our body, this center brings love to our life as well as life to life, really. So it's important to have this center healthy because it will naturally bring to balance all the other chakras. In the tradition which we are studying, the first three force centers are connected to the instinctual, somewhat subhuman aspects of our being. And the last three force centers are connected to universal aspects which transcend individuality to a certain point. So up until now, we have been studying the lower chakras, which are associated with material, which are associated with earthly and personal needs. The upper chakras, such as the crown, the third eye, and the throat, are more interpersonal as they focus more to higher guidance, inspiration, and the cosmos and the bigger picture, and to divine and unity consciousness. In the heart, however, is where both meet. In the heart is where heaven and earth unite. As above, so below. So we have spoken previously about the energies that we are resonating with in yoga during our practice as either telluric or cosmic, from up or from down, from sky or from space, or from the heavens and earth, from the ground, from Mother Earth. So both of these energies stream and stem to meet in the heart. The heart is where above meets below. And Anahata is able to balance this proportion of energy naturally. Hence why it is said that love cures and fixes all. So the role of the chakra is to harmonize matter and spirit, what is up and what is down, which creates a state of balance, beauty, and harmony. This is where you get really great on the co-creation, guys. So as a result of this ability, Anahata is the source of the feeling of being complete and the feeling of fulfillment. Activations here can result in euphoric states of happiness. It also helps us to rise to our potential as human beings and to be more attentive in relationships. And what the energy of love at Anahata helps us to do is to give us the power to escape the suffocating grip of the ego and to surpass its limitations, like when it comes to greed, anger, pride, or envy, and to choose love instead. It is said that love is almost always the opposite of selfishness. So overall, the heart brings together unity and cohesion and the ability to integrate all differences. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome, babes. So humbleness. As Confucius said, humility is the solid foundation of all virtues. The state of humbleness is a quality of and a quality which helps to awaken Anahata Chakra, which you very much want because it feels really good and really loving and ecstatic and peaceful, amongst other things. So the state of humbleness is the secret to transcending the ego, to obtaining a highly enriched perspective. Love is also one of the highest frequencies. So aside from it being great to give to others, it's also great to resonate with ourselves, which we do via being giving and receiving love. So at the heart is also where we are introduced to the concept of being, whereas the lower chakras are associated with I am, I have, or I do. The heart is be, human being. Get it? So humbleness is a quality that helps us when we are in doubt. So for those who only love their ego, humbleness appears as a limiting or even oppressive force, because it is indeed the force that can end the reign of the ego. So those who become humble or practice humbleness open up towards a mysterious dimension of their being, which always exists beyond everything that they think about themselves. And it's often in the case really, really beautiful, right? So humbleness is the condition of remaining in this state of simplicity. It allows the burning of any impurities of self-imposed limitations. As Jesus said, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. So it's important that you do not confuse humbleness with docility or blind, stupid, meaningless, or unconditional obedience. No, no. Groveling or false devotion is also not humbleness. Becoming humble actually ensures that we gain a large number of qualities as we also become pure, content, filled with truth, willing to make sacrifices, and ultimately wise. Humbleness is a profoundly noble, dignifying, uplifting, ineffable, and divine attitude which belongs to the powerful. So humbleness also gives us the ability to learn from our mistakes as well as others very quickly. We can see beyond our ego to promptly recognize mistakes and courageously take responsibility. The mysterious striving that the state of humbleness amplifies within us is to open ourselves towards the superior realities of our being, like pure unconditional love. Humbleness is like a magic cure for healing wounds caused by our ego. It frees us from the deforming influence of our own self-image and helps us to overcome painful attachments to the position we have in society and in our family. It allows us to open our being to the call of love, and it helps us to accept ourselves as we are without trying to look different. Love is self-sufficient. It doesn't ask for anything in return. Love doesn't need anything to be manifested. It is the only force that animates the universe, and its only motivation is love itself. Do not think that in order to love that you need special conditions like time, a certain something, money, a house, status, or experience. Everything we passionately search for in our lives ultimately aims to fill the hole left in our hearts by the absence of love. When we love, we fall in love with life itself, and love is always present in our hearts and lives. When we love, we learn, and love itself can be learned. It can be trained as any other part of the body or mind. So think about this in your actions and deeds throughout the day. The greatest mistake we can do is refrain from love or to ignore it, forgetting the role that it plays in our existence. If we want to learn to love, which is great because it'll help every single part of your life, yes, we must be courageous and open and learn the language of love directly. And you can start by being mindful and kind to others. For many people, all the unhappiness that is directly or indirectly connected to the absence of love in their life would immediately come to an end if they would eliminate the state of passivity in the heart, choosing instead to love actively. So at the beginning of relationships, for example, things are great and love is new and fresh, but that often has a tendency to dissipate over time. This can be avoided, causing it to grow with time by making the choice and taking action to love actively instead of passively. So to love actively means to open our heart in order to give the love which is there, even when there is very little. Active love multiplies through the process of resonance. When we begin to love as much as we can, we thus have more love than we had previously. So offer love without expecting anything in return. Empathy. So you can also resonate and amplify love by learning and practicing empathy. Empathy is the ability to project one's own personality into another in order to understand the person and the ability to share in others' emotions, feelings, or thoughts. Empathy is about spontaneously and naturally tuning into the thoughts and feelings of another person. It is also a manifestation at the level of Anahata Chakra. So empathy also provides necessary feedback for the way we live and to navigate our development in the world. It also gives us feedback by allowing us to share other perspectives in the feelings, reactions, and emotions of others, which enable us to live life with more harmony. It is, however, important to remain mindful of yourself and have boundaries about how you feel when you are practicing empathy or if you're naturally empathetic. So let's take a look at what an awakened or activated heart center feels like. So you know what to look for and you know what to amplify. Radiant vitality with your emotions and feelings. It makes the personality extremely pleasant and warm through kindness and affection. A state of purity which can bring new perspectives like the innocence of a child. Devotion, harmony in the personality. A thirst for wonder, seeing wonder where others see banality. Tenderness and a feeling of togetherness with those close to you in an open and relaxed way. The euphoric expansion into feelings. The alteration of attachment and detachment, creating a movement of feelings like a gentle breeze. Almost all experiences of life have a euphoric background. A state of love and profound compassion without an object. Altruism. A state of calm and peace. Awakening Anahata helps the mind calm down and puts renewed feelings in order. The lucid experience of feelings in the mind, the realization of feelings, rigid tendencies and robotic tendencies dissolve. Doesn't that sound great? Of course it does. So forgiveness is an extremely high frequency and a quality of the heart. It is a simple and efficient method to purify and harmonize the heart chakra, which is very uplifting. It is a great quality that heals the heart from wounds accumulated along the path of transformation. So do not make the mistake of seeing forgiveness as a sign of weakness. Forgiveness releases you from heaviness. Forgiveness is the process of concluding resentment, indignation, or anger resulting from a perceived offense, a dispute or mistake, yes. So studies show that people who forgive are happier and healthier than those who hold resentments. So one first study looked at how forgiveness improves health and noted that when people think about forgiving someone, the cardiovascular and nervous system improves its function. So a study at the University of Wisconsin found that the more forgiving people are, that they suffered, pardon me, that the study at the University of Wisconsin found that the more forgiving people were the ones that suffered less from a wide range of illnesses, right? And that the ones, while those who were the least forgiving, they reported a greater number of health problems. So I had it right the first time. So remembering the law of resonance, we can understand that forgiveness creates a powerful connection with superior vibrations. The process of forgiving another or ourselves for mistakes is the moment which the heart opens. A study from Dr. Fred Luskin from Stanford shows that forgiveness can be learned. People who were taught to forgive become less angry, they feel less hurt, they're more optimistic, they become more forgiving in different situations, and they become more compassionate and self-confident. His studies also show a reduction in the experience and manifestation of stress and increase in vitality. So the power of forgiveness is used especially to harmonize and purify the energies at Anahata. So thus unblocking the way for the consciousness to rise from the inferior levels, which are dominated by instincts and unconsciousness, to the superior levels, which are dominated by freedom and awareness. So forgiving has a magical power that also allows our hearts to open and expand where sorrow or blockages have previously existed. So we're going to take a look now at the unbalanced activation of Anahata. So here are some things to trigger you into thinking and feeling from a more elevated and loving perspective. So on one side, you can see here we have the yin, which is the lunar, the feminine, or the receptive, and then the yang, which is the solar, the active, or the emissive. So yin is left, yang is right. So a yin imbalance looks like sadness, often without reason, sometimes apparently motivated by loneliness, vulnerable to having hurt feelings. Whereas the yang version is egocentrism, often leading to a tendency to remain isolated and alone, leading to a feeling of unworthiness, inability to see one's own limitations, and demanding more than what is possible. So yin is indecision regarding feelings and an ability to decide on their orientation. Yang is superficial attitude towards feelings and a tendency to stick with first impressions. So emotional insecurity around relationships with others versus a tendency to dominate and manipulate others through emotions, a tendency to quote unquote emotionally blackmail. So emotional hypersensitivity, which creates confusion in feelings, emotional selfishness, generating superficial involvement in interactions, coldness when interacting with others. Continuous fear of losing love and remaining alone, leading to compromises, a tendency to offer favors to receive more love. Versus indifference towards the love of others and their needs, focusing only upon one's own way of loving, inability to accept love from others. And there are different forms of love, so keep that in mind. A lack of confidence in friendship, feeling that friends are not giving enough in the relationship. Versus arrogance in front of friends, a tendency to impose the way a friendship should be. So passive, painful longing, which leads to no action at all. Unbearable longing that leads to desperate actions, which are often even dangerous. Hopelessness, feelings that no matter what is done, situations will still remain the same. Versus blindness in considering the real conditions, tendency to not only consider one's own feelings as the reference point. Attachment to feelings, tendency to judge even objective situations only by the feelings they generate, versus insensitivity to any feelings, a tendency to act even though ignoring one's own feelings and thus getting hurt. So a tendency towards incompetence generated by the continuous preoccupation with personal feelings, almost always lost in a maze of feelings, versus tendency to create a personal view upon any activity containing the feelings that are specific to oneself, regretting situations or decisions that have a strong emotional attachment to them, that have a strong emotion attached to them, versus insensitivity towards hurting another's feelings. And then the final yin one is exaggerating, the final yin one on this table is exaggerating care for respecting others' feelings, often pushed to the extreme of canceling all reason and common sense, versus tendencies towards being fake because of the feeling of being free from all restrictions of the energies of the inferior chakras. And that is it for Anahata Chakra. Remember, in addition to your yoga practice, you can use your thoughts and words and actions to create a different and more enjoyable and loving reality for yourself. Choose love. Recognize when you have an imbalance and make the effort to think or see or behave differently to correct yourself. If this resonates with you, I encourage you do so. You will create a lot of joy for yourself as a result of this purification. Much love to you. Take care now. Oh, this is the second table. Okay, I'm going to put this up also on the content site on the Trello board. So you will have the entire table there. So this is the first one we were speaking about, and this is the second one we were speaking about. Okay, and this is that. So thank you very much. You're welcome. Have a wonderful week.